Unsung Murder Ballads is a true crime podcast, and as such, we will be discussing topics that are disturbing, graphic, and often violent in nature. So this is not for children under the age of 13.
But you know this because you did start playing this episode. So here are some things you might not know about us.
We are going to be critical of mistakes made by both criminals and law enforcement.
We're going to express our views on things that you might not always agree with.
We will occasionally go on an off-topic tangent.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So if you're easily triggered, this might not be the podcast for you.
However, if this is your cup of tea, then raise your pinky finger while you sip and join us for this week's horrific case, you sick bastards.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 153. I am Janus dead.
I'm Joyous dead.
And I'm McKenna.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. I might keep that whole space in there. All right.
Oh, it's I'm not recalibrated.
Yeah, it's funny, we do this once a week, and yet sometimes it feels like it's been a month. So, I mean, I had a long week this week. I had car problems, and I had to wait for repairs, and so yeah, I had a rough week. But
Car problems is bingo for you.
I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine about that. That's sort of like he has all these physical issues, right? He always has some kind of problems with his wrist or his ankles, and apparently now there's lead in the water in his building. So both he and his wife are dealing with lead poisoning.
Jesus fucking Christ, where do they live?
New Orleans. So that should tell you who it is, right? And
Gotcha.
yeah, so, and I'm like, I was making fun of him for that, but I'm like, I shouldn't make fun of you for this. I have the same problem with my car. It's always my car.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's like Always Sunny, the bit where it's like anytime that Dee gets a car, it's gone within the episode. That's
yes.
you.
Yeah, that's basically, yes. At least no one has blown it up like her friends did.
Yeah, that's true. Because it would have to be you blowing it up yourself.
Or I let like one of my friend's kids borrow it or something. Yeah. But anyway,
Stranger things have happened.
that's the personal information you're going to get from us for this week, dear listener. So let's dive into this week's episode. Here comes the teaser. And here's the fun part. Before we go any further, McKenna and I were talking before we started recording about, this is only her third episode joining us, but eventually we're going to hit an episode like a case where she's going to know the case ahead of time. So I'm very curious to see when that happens. So we'll see if she gets it after the teaser.
All right.
All right. So Devonte Hart was 12 years old when he was thrust into the national spotlight. There is a photo of Devonte that went viral after a 2014 protest in Portland, Oregon. He was at this protest and he was holding a sign that read, "Free Hugs." At one point, either he approached a police officer in full riot gear or that officer approached him, and the two embraced in this free hug. The photo was taken showing Devonte with tears streaming down his face, and the image went everywhere at the time.
I think I remember this photo.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to send it to you two so that you could see the photo, because that might help jog your thoughts on that.
I'm going to look it up.
Well, I'm going to send it to you right now. So if your phone's nearby, it's coming to you.
I don't know that. I didn't know there was a case.
McKenna, do you know the case?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, this is the case of Jennifer and Sarah Hart and their family. Jennifer and Sarah Hart were both originally from South Dakota. Jennifer originated from Huron and Sarah from Big Stone City, and they both attended Northern State in Aberdeen. They both majored in elementary education, with Jennifer focusing on special education. And that's where their romantic relationship started. Sarah was described by friends and coworkers as being very confident and assertive, and she could also sometimes be intimidating, where Jen was described as a bit warmer and more relatable. After Sarah graduated in 2002, Jennifer also left the university, but she did so without graduating. The women kept their relationship hidden at first, but eventually decided that their relationship was important enough for them to come out to everybody. Now keep in mind, this is the early 2000s, and this is South Dakota. So, and this
A
may
little different than it would be now. This is, wow, 20 years ago.
25 years ago ish. But I mean, South Dakota probably still to this day isn't exactly gay friendly, but certainly less so then.
Yeah.
So the resulting behavior by the people around them in South Dakota prompted the couple to move to Alexandria, Minnesota later that year. So clearly they weren't that welcome. Now, things started going well for Jen and Sarah after they moved, and they began considering foster care and adoption as children were something that they had wanted. So the couple focused on fostering their first child, and that started in 2004. This foster child, has asked in later interviews to remain anonymous, so we will continue to respect that here.
Wow.
Yeah, as I said, the events of this episode, or maybe I didn't say it, they're pretty brutal, and not everyone involved wants to be associated with that.
Wow. Okay. I have no idea where this is going.
I know, I'm so curious right now.
I'm excited that you both don't know, so that makes this even better. I'm not going to lie. So this girl was 15 years old when she came to live with Jen and Sarah. There was almost immediately tension between the three women. Jen and Sarah wanted to impose their ideals and parenting onto this girl, who's already 15.
You can't be doing that.
Exactly. It's tough.
And you're also just foster parents. You're not adoptive parents. You're not parents.
And again,
You're just supposed to be a safe place.
and at 15...
Quick babysitter.
Exactly. And at 15, this girl has already got most of her shit figured out in terms of who she's going to be. Kind of, you know. So the girl they adopted was something of a tomboy and didn't like that the mothers here wanted a more traditional girly thing for her. So which is funny because, again, I'm not stereotyping lesbians at all. I'm just surprised that they didn't seem to understand maybe their daughter didn't want to be girly.
Of all people, you would expect them to understand.
Exactly. So one example was a time when Jen and Sarah took this girl to get one of those makeovers done at like a counter at a mall. And she had to sit there and have her makeup done. And the girl was, she was not into it. And she was sulking through the process.
Oh.
Now, overall, like, they didn't really punish her. Nothing terrible comes from this. But it's just one of those indications that they didn't really get what they were supposed to be doing here.
Right. They didn't really see her as a person.
Exactly.
The full person. Just like a doll.
And it sort of sets the stage for how things are going to continue to play out. So by 2005, same-sex marriage had become a topic of conversation in the U.S. media. Everyone was talking about which states were going to allow it and which ones weren't. And as we've said, it wasn't even legal in some states at this point, which is hard to believe that that's only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So Sarah had gone to the courts and she had her name legally changed so that she could match her domestic partner, Jen. They weren't married.
But it's all they could do.
The couple then applied to adopt children. And on May 4th, 2006, Jen and Sarah received a call from Colorado County, Texas, that had a set of 3 siblings for Jen and Sarah to adopt.
That's a lot.
Honestly, I can't imagine taking on 3 children all at once.
Right, especially when they've had one child before and it wasn't even like their child.
And not for their whole life either, right?
Well,
yeah.
So the Jen and Sarah were quite excited. The girl, maybe she was. It's really tough to say. There's not a lot of research. Not a lot I could find in the research. But, they were excited. But 1 week prior to the arrival of these new kids from Texas, they brought their foster daughter to an appointment with her therapist. During the therapy session, her therapist informed her that Jen and Sarah did not think she was a good fit for their family and they would not be coming to get her.
What?
That's so sad.
Fucked up.
Oh, that is so fucked. If they do that, they shouldn't be allowed to get more children.
100% agree with you.
Take them off the list.
Yeah. Or take the siblings at that as well.
Something should have been done better. I agree. So this poor girl literally went to a therapy session and found herself in a new foster home.
Ugh, that would fuck you up so bad.
I can't even imagine. Like, You think, I mean, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, they're trying to make you dress like a girl, like when you don't really want to, but at least you had some stability.
Right. A place to be where you belonged.
So this girl said in later interviews that she was devastated and she would never see Jen and Sarah again. I have to be honest, this girl is lucky as fuck to have not been there when everything else played out.
True, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So, holy shit, though. I can't imagine doing that to anybody. I really can't. Not someone I even pretended to care about. But
No, you can't even pretend to have cared about that child if you just were like, oh, perfect. We actually got what we wanted now, so we're like gonna get rid of you.
right. So Jen and Sarah's newest family members were Abigail, or Abby, who was 2 years old, Hannah, who was 4 years old, and Marcus, who was 7. Now, these children's mother, Tammy Shoerich, relinquished her rights to her children after she was charged with medical neglect. Now,
Ooh, so these kids have already been through it.
well, Tammy was homeless when she was younger, when she ran away from where she was living with her grandparents to meet an older man that she hadn't met before.
Oh gosh.
Now, this guy didn't show up, and when she called her grandparents for help, they refused to allow her to return, saying that she had made her bed and she could lie in it. So she ended up homeless.
Oh, that's fucked.
Your own grandparents.
This is a real everyone sucks here kind of situation, huh?
Yeah, this episode,
definitely.
this is a hard one, yeah. So after rebuilding herself and her life over the years, Tammy would give birth to 2 more children, and while she was pregnant with her third, something happened that changed everything for Tammy. At a birthday party in July of 2003, Hannah, her then 1.5-year-old daughter, got covered in ant bites, and one of them got infected with a hard-to-treat staph infection.
Oh no. Poor baby.
Well, this doctor informed Child Protective Services, which opened a case for potential medical neglect. Now, about 6 months later, after Abigail was born, just weeks before Hannah's second birthday, Hannah ended up with an upper respiratory infection that had turned into pneumonia.
Oh no.
Now, Tammy said that she had taken Hannah to the doctor previously, and the doctor had changed Hannah's asthma medications and sent them home. But according to a police report filed the next month, Tammy did not return for a doctor's appointment that was scheduled, and she had waited too long to take Hannah to the hospital as instructed by her doctor over the phone.
Mm.
Now, Tammy maintained that she had called an ambulance, but that no one seemed to care, and she had to wait for a ride for her and the other 2 children. She couldn't just leave them. So when she called for that ride, the person who showed up was a CPS worker named Sharon Kirby. And Tammy thought that she was probably summoned by the ambulance dispatcher, which is why no one seemed to care. Long story short, this CPS worker took away Tammy's parental rights, and the children were then formally adopted by Jen and Sarah.
So she didn't really relinquish them, did she? They were taken.
They were she had to sign them over, but they were taken. Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I'm going to mention this here because it will be relevant a little later. I don't think it's relevant for any other reason except for the desires of Jen and Sarah here. But it should be noted that Jen and Sarah are both white women and that these 3 children are racially mixed, black and white.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Normally I
I
don't
see what you're saying.
Yeah, normally I don't bring that up, but it's going to matter in a little bit.
It tends to matter for adoption purposes and for like, I don't know.
In this case you would think so, but it doesn't with these 3 and the next kids they're going to adopt.
Oh, more. Oh, great.
We're not done yet.
Barely started.
Right. Going back to the 3 adoptees. Abby wore glasses and had a bright smile, and she loved the color lime green, and she loved exploring the wilderness. Hannah had a spunky personality and was missing both of her front teeth. And Marcus, the oldest, he loved to read.
Mhm.
So starting in 2006, Jen became a stay-at-home mom while Sarah worked as a supervisor at Herberger's shop, which I guess is a Midwestern department store chain, I think. At first I thought it was a fast...
Doesn't a supervisor at like a department store, that's gonna be hard to support three children and two adults.
2006 in Minnesota. Maybe not.
What do I know?
I don't... It's tough to say. That back then she might have been making 50 grand a year, and in Minnesota in the mid-2000s, that's probably not so bad.
And everything's cheaper back then too.
Right. I mean, up here, yeah, that we wouldn't be able to support shit here. We're way too expensive in New England.
Yeah, I can barely support one adult.
Right.
So these three children brought very little drama in their first 2 years with Jen and Sarah. And in June of 2008, they decided they wanted to adopt 3 more children.
That's crazy.
Right? So they asked...
Everything's going well. Let's double it.
I mean, there's nothing better than doubling down.
Oh my God.
No risk, no reward, right?
Ugh.
So Jen and Sarah asked for something very specific during this adoption process. They asked for black children that were siblings.
That's weird.
Yep.
Do you know why yet or no?
I
Or
think
does that come later?
I think they wanted to be viewed as more open-minded and more, you know
White
what I mean?
savior complex.
Exactly. That's what I think they were going for.
Gotcha.
Well, that's exactly what
fucked.
they got. 3 more children who were all from Houston, Texas. And let me tell you, these 3 children had an even rougher start than the first 3.
Ugh.
As you said, there's no good stories here. Their biological mother lost custody of them because she was struggling with substance abuse problems, and at least one of the children had tested positive for crack cocaine in their systems at the time of their birth.
Oh, awful.
That's gonna be tough.
The children's aunt took care of the children, with the court stating that there was one condition attached to her taking custody, that their mother was not allowed to have any contact with them. However, their aunt, finding herself with 3 children to take care of, and she was struggling financially as it was, she was trying to make ends meet. And one night, her work called, asking her if she could come in and cover an extra shift. So she needed the money. She knew she needed the money. And she agreed, but she didn't have a babysitter at such a last moment's notice. So she made a dire mistake, and she called her sister, the baby's biological mother, to come babysit for her while she worked this extra shift.
Who's not even allowed to be in contact.
Correct.
Wow.
And that just happened to be the day that Child Protective Services did their unannounced visit to the house to check on the welfare of the children.
Oh no.
So when the caseworker showed up and found the children being supervised by the one person that should not have any contact with them, the caseworker pulled the children from the house.
Ugh. And it's awful because it's like, really, it's not like the children weren't being neglected. It was just resources. It's purely just like the aunt needed more resources to be able to have childcare.
Exactly.
And I bet you they give the adopted adoptive parents a bunch of money to take them.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that a little bit soon. Yeah.
It's a hugely fucked up thing that happens.
So that aunt attempted to obtain permission or permanent custody of the children. But because of this incident, the courts wouldn't allow it. So these kids were given over to Jen and Sarah, and they were making the most of the income that these adoptions allowed them. Basically, they were allotted quite a bit of money from Texas. Yeah.
God damn it. They should have just given that money to the poor aunt who is actually family and trying to take care of these kids. And instead, they're just going to give it to someone else to feel like a savior.
Exactly.
So true.
Sucks.
It's so fucked up. Now, the children. We had Sierra, who's the smallest, now the baby of the family, and she loved her cat that was named Sebastian. We had Jeremiah, who was small for his age. He was born with cocaine already in his system, but he was doing okay, and everyone called him J-Man. And then you had Devante, and he's been described as an old soul in a child's body. Devante loved animals. and he hated Donald Trump. He
Slay.
And he carried a sign with him everywhere that read, "Free hugs, pass it on." And he had a special bond with Jen, which would sometimes garner him a little special attention. Now, Jen was the stay-at-home mom, and she had a lot more time, and she became almost obsessed with social media. She was on there
Weird.
all the time. Her social media of choice was Facebook. She was extremely active, and she loved to post pictures of the children doing everyday activities with well-written and thought-out captions. Each post showed this loving, wholesome family. But as we know, social media is a place where you can make your life look the way you want it to.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And around this time, the Harts started going to these transformational festivals. They kind of found this to be their thing to do. These are festivals full of music and dancing, yoga and mindfulness. People who attended these festivals were all about inclusion and acceptance, and this seemed to be exactly what a pair of lesbian mothers and their 6 black children needed.
No, yeah, it was like the white nonsense that you're saying right now. It's just like it hurts.
Oh man,
I just feel so bad for these kids. They're just getting man, they should be with their families.
I imagine them walking around these festivals, at least the first time, like any one of us would if we woke up on an alien planet.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think honestly, if I woke up at this festival, I would feel like
I don't know. I think you two would fit in better than me. I'm just saying.
well, definitely better than you for sure. I would do yoga, but I don't know about all the going to a weird culty retreat for it.
Oh man, I would be there for the music as long as it wasn't too lame. I don't know.
I think it's probably lame.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Sorry, listener, if you go on wellness yoga retreats, but not sorry if you go on them to show off what a savior you are.
So Jen often posted photos from these festivals, and all of the children were smiling broadly, and they would post inspiring updates of their daily life. One friend described Jen as a master poster. Commenters would leave remarks
weird thing
praising them for their parenting, and someone even asked if they would consider doing a reality show.
Oh my God.
Exploiting these children hardcore.
Jen and
master of deceiving people online.
Right? They would become known as the Hart tribe at these festivals, and there was something magnetic about this family.
Tribe?
That's what they said. I can feel your anger just bubbling. It's so awesome.
Yeah, pissed off.
They drew the attention of everyone around them, and they were easily recognized by everyone at these festivals. So Jen was also obsessed with one of those online games called Oz Broken Kingdom. This is one of those games.
This is a weird thing.
Right? This is one of those games where you have to build a community and spend actual money to advance in the game. Now, keep in mind, she's a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't have a whole lot to do when the kids are at school, right?
Right.
So, one of her friends said that Jen was of the highest-ranking players, which would have cost a lot of money, and she would have had to have spent most of her time doing this. So while she was supposed to be raising 6 children, she was playing this online game between 12 and 14 hours a day.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. Yeah, that's crazy.
And she put...
I'd be spending a lot of time playing video games, but I don't have children.
And she put their family in debt to the tune of almost $16,000.
No, not on the phone game.
In 2008, while the family was living in Minnesota, Hannah Hart went to school with bruises on her left arm. And her teacher asked her about those bruises. And she had said that Jen had hit her with a belt.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I hope that teacher did something.
Well, she reported it to the school, and the school contacted Jen and Sarah. And within months, all 6 children had been pulled out of public school for the rest of that year.
Like, to be homeschooled so they can be abused more?
Jen had decided that she would homeschool the children. Yes.
Yep.
However, for some reason, by the time we get to 2009, the children were back in public school. Now, if I had to guess, it's likely that there were state requirements around homeschooling that they hadn't met the threshold for. But that's just me
Yeah, or
speculating.
they just couldn't handle it.
She'd rather be playing video games.
Right?
So true.
They interrupted her video game time.
I wouldn't like that either.
So around this time, there were emails that were out there where Jen described her home life as, quote, very roller coaster-ish, unquote. And she explained to a friend that for quite some time she had felt underappreciated and taken advantage of, and at times unloved by Sarah.
Wah, wah. Sorry, I don't feel bad for you.
I don't feel bad for her at all. 16 grand on video games? Let's go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck
Oh, I
off.
was thinking it was one of the kids for a second. My bad. Sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah, like 16 grand you didn't earn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So in 2010, Abby told a school nurse that she had owies on her back and stomach. Abby had told a story to this nurse that she had found a penny and she had picked it up and put it in her pocket. And later, that penny had fallen out of her pocket in front of Jen. Jen accused her of stealing the penny. And Abby
A penny?
A penny.
That's ridiculous.
A penny. And Abby told Jen that she had found it, but she wasn't believed. And according to Abby, Jen then hit her and held her head underwater.
What the fuck about a penny?
A penny. And they weren't worth all that much more back in 2010.
No.
So police were alerted, as they should have been. But the women spun the accusation. Sarah told police that it wasn't Jen that punished Abby, it was her. And that Sarah had only spanked her. And Jen, she backed up this story. Now, my thoughts here...
Still not appropriate to spank your child about that.
Yes, I agree, but it is the Midwest, so tough to say what the states think of corporal punishment. But also I think that the reason they couldn't let Jen be the one giving spankings is because she's the stay-at-home mom and the caregiver. You know what I mean? I think that's why Sarah kind of had to take that on herself. And she was charged with malicious punishment of a child and misdemeanor domestic assault for it. But when police talked to the children claimed that they were spanked constantly and they were even at times deprived of food.
Where the fuck's CPS now, huh?
Yeah, well, they're white women. They're white lesbians.
Classic. Classic.
And it should be noted that at this point, the children are being deprived of food. And they look a lot younger than they actually are. That's another key piece to this, where people think these kids that are with these women aren't as old as they are. It's crazy.
That's fucked.
So 1 year later, Hannah reportedly told the school nurse that she had not eaten the entire day. The school nurse called Hannah's home and spoke with Sarah, who claimed that Hannah was merely, quote, playing the food card, unquote, and recommended that she be given only water.
What the fuck is playing the food card, girl?
Maybe, I don't know, but clearly this family's fucked. Around this time, all 6 children were taken out of public schools again and were homeschooled from then on, and the Hart family moved from Minnesota to Oregon. As we have established, Jen maintained an obsessive social media feed about her family. She consistently posted photos of families at these festivals, rallies, and even around the house, always working on art projects or creating music. There's one clip of the family that shows the children singing, and the only words to this song seem to be, quote, "We are so provided for," unquote.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
I mean, if you needed a red arrow pointing to yourself that says, investigate me, that's how I would do it.
Quite literally.
What the fuck? No children stops and thinks to say, yeah, I'm really provided for.
It's just like also just a weird thing to say.
It's so fucked up. So while living in Oregon in 2013, a few people called Child Protective Services to report troubling things they had noticed regarding this family. According to one CPS report, an anonymous person referred to the children as trained robots, saying the kids seemed scared to death of Jen.
What the hell?
A former friend of the women called Child Protective Services after the Hart family had visited with them, claiming that Jen treated the children like they lived in a regimented boot camp, adding that she would get angry with them if they laughed too loudly.
Ugh.
CPS began an investigation into the Hart for children's welfare. This investigation included separate interviews of everyone in the family, as well as interviews of people that they knew. 2 family friends said the children were forced to raise their hands before speaking. They could not wish each other happy birthdays, and they weren't allowed to laugh at the dinner table.
Ugh.
There were other reports that the children were poorly fed and looked small for their ages, which we've said before. One family reported that Jen had ordered a pizza for the children, but each kid was only allowed a single slice. The next morning, when she discovered that the rest of the pizza was gone, she punished them by not feeding them breakfast and forcing to stay in their beds for 5 hours.
Ugh.
However, the interviews with the children themselves revealed no new incidents of abuse. They didn't mention anything that had happened while they were living in Montana, and I'm guessing that's because they're afraid as fuck.
Yeah, they've probably been told that if they say anything that they'll find out and they'll be punished.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when Jen was interviewed, she claimed, and you're going to love this, she claimed that any family problems were a result of others not being tolerant of 2 lesbian mothers with 6 African American children.
Oh, I hate those bitches playing that fucking card.
What, the food card?
Ugh.
Sorry.
Everyone hates us because we're lesbians. No, everyone hates you because you're a bad person.
In the end, this investigation was unable to conclude whether the Harts were guilty of anything or whether there were actual safety threats.
I don't know. Feels like they were so fast to take these kids away from their parents, and now it's sketchy.
I mean,
and they're not doing anything.
The birth parents, the biological parents of a lot of these kids, I did some research. I debated how much I wanted to go into their history, but there's a long history with their parents, like a lot of drug abuse,
Gotcha.
a lot. So there were things leading up to that, you know what I mean? Whereas you have 2 middle-class white women here that, other than this now, there's no history, you know? So that's why those things, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that's why they're missing it.
Gotcha.
So while attending a beloved festival, Devontae was dressed in a zebra onesie with the word beloved shaved into his hairline. On a now famous YouTube video, Devontae was singing at this festival as a musician named Xavier Rudd played guitar and chants on stage. He noticed Devontae in his zebra costume and a sign around his neck that read, "Free hugs." Devontae approached Xavier with tears in his eyes, and they embraced. And this embrace lasted well over a minute. And you can see everyone in the crowd getting like swept up in this moment. But as you watch the scene unfold, you start to notice that something's not right. It's as though Devontae doesn't want to let go, and he needed this hug more than he needed to give it.
Oh, because he felt more love than he has before. That's so sad.
It's
From a stranger.
It's heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking.
And as we talked about in our teaser, there's a photo of Devontae that went viral in 2014 at a protest in Portland that resulted from the Ferguson unrest. Now, for anyone who doesn't remember, very simply, the Ferguson unrest was because of a senseless killing of Michael Brown by a police officer named Darren Wilson, who had no charges brought against him. So there were a lot of protests about police violence and Black Lives Matter, that sort of thing. So the Hart family is at this protest in Portland, and Devontae was there dressed in a brown leather jacket with a blue shirt and an orange crew neck with a fedora hat, and he had his free hug sign. Now the photo, which I sent to you guys earlier, this made him an internet celebrity. And I'm going to share the image on our social media pages, but it became known as the hug felt round the world. Because of the notoriety of this photo, the Hart family was suddenly getting a lot of attention. The photo and the story behind it had gone out all over mainstream media channels, and it even been parodied on Saturday Night Live that week.
Wow.
The family was...
But they parried it.
I didn't see it. I don't know. But I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, but knowing Saturday Night Live, I'm sure it was amusing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The family was contacted by the Bernie Sanders campaign team, and they were invited to be on the bleachers behind Bernie at his campaign speech in Portland, Oregon in 2016. Now, this family, the Hart family, is literally standing in the bleachers behind him when a bird landed on his lectern during his campaign speech, which was a huge moment. I don't know if you guys remember.
Mm-hmm.
They were right there, which is crazy.
They're loving it, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Jen and Sarah must have been in, like, their glory.
They were eating it up.
After all the attention they were receiving, Jen decided that the family needed to take a break from social media. By mid-2017, after their social media break, Jen revealed that the family had moved to Woodland, Washington. This is now their third state since adopting all these children. Now, there they tried to remain private, but their neighbors eventually reported an incident that they had witnessed to police. In August of that year, Hannah jumped out of her bedroom window at 1:30 in the morning to try to contact these neighbors, whom she had never actually met.
Whoa.
She literally jumped from a second-story window and ran across the dark yard to the DeKalbs, and she started pounding on their door. And as soon as it opened, she ran into the house, went upstairs, and hid, pleading with them, "Don't make me go back. They're racist and they abuse us."
Oh my God. Please,
Bruce DeKalb asked Hannah to explain, and she said that they would whip them with belts, which at first did not seem out of place for Bruce because he admitted to Hannah that as a kid he had been hit with a belt too. But she said it was different than just a spanking.
Right, it's different if it happens all the time.
Right. And it's one thing if you're kind of, whatever, you slapped on the ass a couple times, but whipping gives me the impression of something else.
Mm-hmm. Something very racist.
Right. They soon heard the Hart family outside in their yard looking for Hannah. Sarah and Jen came to the DeKalb's house and knocked on the door, and when Bruce opened it with his wife Dana, Jen and Sarah just pushed their way into their house with no invitation and started searching for Hannah.
What the fuck?
They found her upstairs, curled up in the fetal position. For whatever reason, Dana DeKalb did not call the authorities at the time.
The fuck?
But she did call her father, Steve, who did call the police.
Good, okay.
Now, Jen later attempted to explain this away by claiming that Hannah was lying, that the children occasionally acted out because they were quote-unquote drug babies.
Oh my God.
And that Hannah's biological mother was bipolar, and therefore that explained her behavior.
Fucked.
After this incident, the DeKalbs were also in contact with Devante, who would constantly beg them for food, asking them not to tell Jen about these requests.
Awful. Like, how sad is that? Like, your neighbor's kids are starving.
And, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't just call the police, personally.
Yeah.
But this did start a once-per-day thing, but it escalated to Devante showing up at their house up to 3 times a day. They are
really not being fed, huh?
Not at all.
Uh-uh.
And the DeKalbs eventually put a box out in their yard between the two houses so that Devante could pick up the food with less chance of getting caught by his mothers.
Wow. Oh, that's so fucking awful.
They still never called the police, and they were doing all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really, like, it's like, I get what they're doing is nice, but like the really actual good thing to do would be get these kids taken away from these parents.
Right. They're inadvertently supporting the system that's in place instead of helping fix the problem. In later conversations with Devante, he told them that his mothers withheld food as punishment and that the children were sometimes abused, which obviously we've established that.
Mm-hmm.
This, combined with the earlier incident with Hannah, made the DeKalbs report the Harts to Child Protective Services finally. Now, CPS tried on 2 separate occasions to reach the Harts, but had no success.
The fuck? Go there.
That's what they did. They did, and there was nobody there.
Oh.
It appeared that the family had packed up all 6 of their kids and the family dog, and they just vanished.
Uh-oh.
Little is known about their seemingly hasty departure or the days that followed. On March 26, one of Sarah's friends called 911 requesting a welfare check. The friend stated that she had received a text from Sarah saying that she was sick and that her phone was dead, but no one had seen Sarah or Jen since.
Mm.
On the morning of March 25th, Jen Hart was recorded on surveillance video at a Safeway, like a gas station, in Fort Bragg, California.
I knew it was to another state, especially a far one.
Mm-hmm.
They had remained in that area until at least 9 p.m., but there is no further information regarding the family's whereabouts after that. That Saturday night, they switched off their SUV's GPS system for the first time in 8 years. And
Weird. I wouldn't even know how to do that.
I know, I'm curious now, right? Nobody knew where they were until about 15 miles south from where they were last seen down the Pacific coast. Now, the Pacific coast is a beautiful and scenic highway that drives the entire coast, and while I've never been there personally, I mean, not to the northern part of it, I've seen images. It's a mind-blowing stretch of highway along the ocean, separated only by a guardrail and a cliff leading down to the water. The family SUV was found overturned at the base of one of these cliffs.
Oh.
Cops called to the scene found Jennifer and Sarah Hart strapped inside, dead.
Oh my God.
3 of the children were scattered near the car, having been ejected from the vehicle during its plunge. At first, emergency response team thought it might have been an accident until they actually started looking into things. The vehicle appeared to have left the highway and accelerated for about 70 feet until it launched off the cliff.
Oh my God.
No skid marks were found, and this led investigators to determine that Jen had intentionally driven her entire family off this cliff.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they knew it was over. CPS was coming for him. So after some investigation and some time, here's what we know. Sarah had been Googling such questions as, can 500 milliliters of Benadryl kill a 120-pound woman? What over-the-counter medications can you take to overdose? How can I easily OD on over-the-counter medications? Is death by drowning relatively painless? How long does it take to die of hypothermia in water while drowning in a car? Kind of specific there.
This is some really specific Google searches.
What will happen when overdosing with Benadryl? And lastly, her search was for no kill shelters for dogs. So
She wanted to kill her kids, but not her dog.
The dog is insane.
What the fuck?
at the time
Like,
at the time of her death, Sarah had taken 42 doses of an off-brand Benadryl. Now, the family had stopped to buy this medication before leaving Washington State, and they had purchased both pill and liquid forms of this drug. Marcus,
No, you could overdose on Benadryl.
it's like was it like NyQuil? It's got that like
Right, it's a sedative.
Yeah.
It has it's diphenhydramine.
right. So Marcus had 19.2 doses in his body. Abigail had 14 doses, and Jeremiah had 8.8 doses at the time of their autopsies. Jen, who had been driving, did not have any of the drug in her system, but her alcohol level was a 0.1, which meant she drank roughly 5 beers. Now, Jen, who didn't drink, was probably quite intoxicated at that point and likely barely able to function. Jen and Sarah Hart murdered all 6 of their children when Jen Hart drove their SUV off a 100-foot cliff on California State Route 1 in Mendocino County, California, near Westport. The bodies of five of the children, Hannah 16, Marcus 19, Jeremiah 14, Abigail 14, and Sierra 12, were found in or nearby to the vehicle, which landed upside down on the Pacific Ocean beach. The body of
Ooh.
Devontae, who is 15, has never been found.
Oh.
Oh.
A Superior Court judge ruled that Devontae was in the vehicle at the time of the crash, and a death certificate was signed on April 3rd, 2019. The one consolation we can take away from this is that it's unlikely anyone save for Jen was conscious when the SUV went careening into the abyss that night.
Right, like the Benadryl was more to drug them to sleep.
Now, police who later searched their home, they described it as sterile, with empty picture frames hanging on the wall. They said the kids' rooms had 2 beds and a mattress on the floor, but nothing else. They reported that there was no indication that children had even lived in that house.
Oh, that's so spooky.
It wasn't until 6 months after their deaths that the biological mother of 3 of the children, Tammy Shurich, received a call.
Oh, that's awful.
It was the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, and they were asking her for a DNA sample to match to the remains so that they could determine if they were who they thought they were.
Oh.
Law enforcement officers sent someone to her house to collect it, and then when the results came in, Tammy received an email, and she would later be told that it was a positive identification to Hannah's remains based on her DNA sample, confirming that Hannah was dead. Apparently there are no laws in place that requires anyone to contact biological parents who have given up their parental rights, either by choice or not, to be notified that their children are dead under any kind of circumstances.
Oh,
And
that's so awful.
And that is the case of the Hart family. Wow.
That was awful and fucking bizarre.
This is a listener request. This came from one of our listeners.
Damn.
Yeah. Someone was like, "Can you cover this case?" I'm like, "Sure, fuck it." And I kind of pushed it through as quickly as I could. So
Those poor
I don't
kids.
understand if they felt the need to take the kid's life. Why can't they just take theirs?
I've
But they were crazy and abusive, but
I've never understood the mentality of people who are like, "Well, if I can't have you, no one can," or "I'm taking you all with me," kind of thing. But it's
yeah,
Yeah, it's all like very cult mindset. It was like at first I was like it's very very drink the Kool-Aid type thing. We're poisoning everyone.
right. My thing is, it's more narcissistic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she was like, "No, you're all mine, and if I'm going, you're coming." It's just so fucked up.
And they couldn't handle the actual like confrontation of being pointed out that they were abusive and
Right.
awful.
Because they thought their way of raising their kids was the right way to do it. Yeah.
Awful. Fuck them.
Well,
And
hmm
fuck them for the murder suicide so they can't
yeah, they can't be
ever be
held accountable.
accountable.
And all they've done is caused pain to biological parents who lost control of their own lives and therefore lost their children, who should have gone to better families.
Right. Or you really have to think, I mean, if they had stayed with their biological parents, they might have had a fucked up life, but they might still be alive.
Yeah, they might be slightly, yeah, they're better off than dead. You're right.
Yep.
Or what if like the parents like got help and got better?
By all accounts, because I got the information about Tammy, the biological mother here, from articles, interviews that were done with her after this. So she clearly did straighten her shit out.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's fucked up. So, yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. Once again, I am Janus Dead,
I'm Joyous dead.
And I'm McKenna.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye.